Let's just jump right in. For decades, pop culture has fed us this super specific dream of Mars, right? Like it's this rugged but totally conquerable frontier, humanity's inevitable second home. But today, we're stripping away the CGI, the sci-fi, and the Hollywood narratives. We're going to dive into the source material and look at the actual, stark, physical reality of the red planet. Because honestly, when you focus entirely on the realistic visuals of what is actually there, the whole story changes completely. I mean, think about it. For centuries, we've stood here on Earth looking up at the night sky, completely fixated on that little red dot. We've projected all our hopes onto it. We call it a new home, a second Earth, and lately, everyone's talking about it as our planet B, or humanity's ultimate backup plan. It's like the pinnacle of our exploratory ambition. But what actually happens when we zoom in past those dreams and look at the hard, photographic data? Okay, let's dive into this. When you weigh that dream against the stark, high-definition reality, it is a completely different picture. Mars is way darker than just some blank, unpainted canvas waiting for us to show up and build cities. It's not a new beginning at all. Actually, it's quite literally a corpse. It's this planetary fossil floating out there in space, showing us exactly what it looks like when an entire world just dies. Section 1. The Rusty Corpse, Visualizing the Surface. So there's a reason the ancients named this world after the god of war, right? They looked up and saw the color of blood. But the true visual reality of Mars has absolutely nothing to do with blood. It's rust, literally, iron oxide. The entire surface is just this sprawling, rusty wasteland. And here's the absolute kicker. This rust tells a massive historical story. It's not just a color, it's hardcore chemical evidence. Rust only forms when iron reacts with oxygen and water, which means the very color of the planet is a lingering ghost of what used to be there. Let's move to and see how this builds chronologically, because it paints a seriously tragic picture. Billions of years ago, Mars wasn't red at all. It was blue. We're talking rolling oceans, flowing rivers, a thick atmosphere, very much like Earth. It might have even harbored life. But then, its magnetic heart just stopped beating. The planetary shield totally collapsed. And without that protection, the relentless solar wind completely stripped away the air, the water, the warmth, the whole shebang. So Mars isn't just some barren rock that never had a chance. It was a lush garden that withered, died, and rusted right over. Section 2. Silent Hostility, the Extreme Reality. Now, imagine you're there. If you were to step outside your spacecraft onto the surface right now, the first thing your body would encounter is the atmosphere, or, well, the extreme lack of it. The atmosphere on Mars is 100 times thinner than what we experience here on Earth. It is practically a vacuum. And what little wispy atmosphere is actually left? Completely unbreathable. It's made up of 95% carbon dioxide. There is literally nothing there for your lungs to use. But you know what? This lack of air does something even stranger, and honestly, kind of more terrifying to the human experience. It creates this unnatural, absolute silence. Because the air is so incredibly thin, the physical waves of sound simply don't have a medium to travel through effectively. The sensory deprivation would be absolutely overwhelming. Like, if you were standing there and shouted at the top of your lungs to someone standing just a few meters away, they probably wouldn't even hear you. It is a profoundly silent, ghostly world. And this brilliantly illustrates that Mars isn't just passively uninhabitable, it is actively out to get you. Without a pressurized suit, that wildly low atmospheric pressure would cause the moisture in your eyes, your mouth, and your lungs to just instantly boil. And if that doesn't get you, the sun definitely will. With zero magnetic field, the surface is just constantly blasted by cosmic rays and solar radiation. Surviving there realistically means living entirely underground. We wouldn't be intrepid explorers walking proudly out in the sun. We'd be prisoners. We'd be hiding out in caves and lava tubes like insects escaping a relentless, invisible storm. Oh, and let's not forget the dust. Global dust storms can literally blot out the sun for months, plunging the surface into this freezing darkness, while toxic chemicals called perchlorates, which totally poison the human thyroid, by the way, scratch against the walls of your habitat. Yeah, no thanks. Section 3. The Toxic Robot Graveyard. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the question it poses. Despite all these terrifying realities, humanity just hasn't stopped reaching out. But if humans can't survive the boiling pressure, the creepy silence, and that toxic dust, who is actually exploring the surface right now? Well, we keep sending our emissaries into the void. You see, Mars is entirely unique in the known universe because it's a planet populated entirely by robots. But tragically, it's also a giant graveyard for them. Scattered across those rusty, toxic dunes are the metal bodies of our greatest explorers. Rovers like Sojourner, Spirit, and Opportunity. These were just incredible machines that fought the harsh elements until their batteries finally gave out, and their solar panels were completely smothered by that global sun-blotting dust. Today, they just sit there, completely frozen in time. They're literal monuments to human curiosity, waiting in the silent dark for creators who, honestly, may never arrive. They are the starkest visual reminder we have of how incredibly difficult this world truly is. Section 4. A warning, not a backup plan. So what does this incredibly harsh reality actually represent for us? People love to talk about the terraforming illusion, that sci-fi idea of turning the red planet green, engineered to look just like Earth. But what if we're looking at this entirely the wrong way? Mars is not a blank canvas for us to paint our future on. Mars is a mirror. It's a reflection showing us precisely how fragile a planetary ecosystem really is. Visually, it proves that an atmosphere is a rare, precious gift, not a permanent guarantee. It shows us that deep, roaring oceans can completely evaporate into space, and that a vibrant, living world can so easily turn to silent rust. Don't get me wrong, Mars is absolutely a fascinating place. It's a complete treasure trove of scientific discovery. But taking a hard, realistic look at its frozen, silent, and toxic deserts should really do one very specific thing. It should make you deeply, deeply appreciate the chaotic, noisy, breathing, living blue marble that we call home. As our source material puts it so powerfully, Mars is not a backup plan. It is a warning. The real question is, will we heed that warning before we take our own fragile atmosphere for granted? Thanks so much for joining me as we unpacked all this today. I'll catch you next time.